Forget higher wages. Target can barely hire. The U.S. retailer officially announcing 1,700 layoffs. This as women's group Ultraviolet is running ads to get Target to hike their minimum wage. Awkward. Jamie Weinstein says forcing higher wages will only force more layoffs. Radio host Richard Fowler says Target could benefit from paying higher wages. Gentlemen, welcome to you both. So, Jamie, you just think now is not the time, particularly in Target's case, to be lecturing anyone on higher wages, right?
Well, it will certainly increase labor costs, which one of the effects of that is obviously having to consider lay off more people. And in the long term, it also consider to increase automation in their stores. I have a CVS that's right below my building. A lot of the employees no longer are there to check you out. They have machines that do it. Once you increase labor costs, it gives more incentive for employers like Target to look to those methods to use as opposed to hiring workers or keeping their workers.
Richard?
Listen, here's the thing, Neil. Every time in history we've seen, every time you've raised the minimum wage, when George Bush did it, when his father did it, when Reagan did it, the economy benefits. You put more money into the economy, you take more people off government services and government programs, or what you guys would call government welfare, and that's a good thing, and that's why you got to raise the wage.
I've never called it government welfare, but Richard, I'll say this. I believe there should be a higher minimum wage, but I believe it's up to individual companies to decide whether they can afford it. Walmart thought they could. They crunched the numbers, thought of the risk of losing key employees to competition and decided to raise it. Target couldn't, didn't, and now we see why.
Well, here's the I hear you, and I think that overall, as a country, we should be considering raising the minimum wage. Out of all the developed countries in the world, we have the lowest minimum. We have the lowest minimum wage, and we also have.
Yeah, but in Seattle, we have one of the world's highest. So you can't universally say it's a vanilla
the
fits all
whole ideal here.
Go ahead.
The whole ideal
Richard
here.
Let Richard say it. Go ahead.
The whole ideal here is that what you want to do is you want to raise the wages of all the people, because when you raise the wages of all the people, the whole community benefits. All the economists say that. All the statistics show that in history.
Yeah, but the
shows that to be
reality,
the case.
look at what happened at Target, right, Jamie? My only it's I'm okay with raising the wage if the market can bear it, if an employer can bear it, if the local pizza guy can bear it. But if the environment doesn't bear it, then no government edict is going to make it easier to deal with.
Well, look, first of all, it's a total nonsense to say that all the economists agree with what Richard just said. But the second point of this is where legislators are punting the ball and not having to deal with the issue themselves. What minimum wage is in effect a tax on companies that hire low-skilled workers. If Congress wants to increase the minimum wage, what they actually should do is increase taxes on the middle class and upper class. They don't want to have that debate and provide greater earned income tax credit to the people that earn the minimum wage. But what they want to do is want to push this issue to companies and say they're the guys who are being the bad guy instead of address those issues themselves, because it's not very fun to tell your constituents that you're raising taxes.
Here's the thing. That's Washington speak for we don't want to see the minimum wages raised for working families. The truth of the matter is you go to a place like Nebraska, you go to a place like Birmingham, Alabama, both places I've been to recently, and you'll hear this one thing to be true. All families want to do is make ends meet. The jobs are out there, but the jobs aren't paying enough because the federal government won't force them to do that. And it's a job of the federal government to be for the good of all the people.
What do you say to Richard, to those, once you raise the minimum wage, those workers who are fired as a result, who have no wage now? What do you say to them?
I'm glad you brought that up, because we saw the last time we raised the minimum wage in 2006. Yes, there were some folks who lost their jobs initially, but what ended up happening is those folks who got more wages were able to go out and you have more purchasing power. And because they had more purchasing power, it trickled up. And that trickle up means more local businesses hired more people.
2 years later, we had a recession and a meltdown.
But that had nothing to do with raising the minimum wage.
But I'm saying don't say that was a lock on an economic boom. Who knows, gentlemen? Who knows? Richard, Jamie, I want to thank you both. You articulated positions very, very well.